People have accused me and people I've been associated with as of joining a cult, being involved in cultism. But no, it has not been a cult process for me. It's been more of a spiritual search, spiritual understanding of my origin as a people, as a person. And my people have been confined in a land where we're subjugated to discriminations that where cultism do exist in religions that are cultism, but we don't understand that. We don't see that. They were developed here in this land. One coming to mind, the one in Utah, I can't recall exactly, but Mormonism, that's a cult. They created that to one person's idea and brought on, similar to the people out in Texas who were burned in Waco, Texas. That was a cult, similar to these other cults that have been developed in this land.
Amen. And this morning I'm going to be exposing a specific cult, because there's many throughout the years that have done this. There's tons of religions of all different races. They come up with this idea before they come to the Bible, and then they twist the scriptures to their own destruction and try to use the Bible to prop up or support their false religion. And the title of my sermon this morning is The Black Hebrew Israelites Exposed. The Black Hebrew Israelites Exposed. Now, a lot of people would probably say, like, that's totally irrelevant. You don't need to preach about that. I went to Jacksonville for the Soul Winning Marathon, January 14th. The very first person that my partner approached to preach the gospel to, somebody came over and tried to interrupt. And I went over there so that he could finish giving the gospel to that person and get that person saved. So I just basically distracted, the distraction, the guy that was coming over and yelling and stuff. So I brought him over to the side and I just argued with him just so that we could get that person saved. The guy ended up being a black Hebrew Israelite. Then 1 week later, I go to the Minneapolis Soul Winning Marathon, right? We're at the Minneapolis Soul Winning Marathon. I knock on a door. A guy opens the door. He's black. He's a black Hebrew Israelite. It's not a coincidence. It's spreading all over.
What we see happening is that our culture is actually being mistaken as a cult, you see. And there are reasons for that, because when you see the behavior of our people, I'm going to say some of our people, not all of our people, but when you see the behavior of some of our people, it is very cultish. But it's not to be confused with what our culture is. You see, our culture is our traits and our customs and beliefs and how we lived, you see. That's what our culture is, right? We have a historical culture that is well documented in Scripture, but some of the behavior being cultish is what is confusing a lot of people and tarnishing this awakening, you see. Now let me tell you what a cult is. You see, a cult is a religious veneration or devotion directed at a particular person or object. You see, that's totally different than what a culture is. It can even be a small group of people that have a certain religious belief that can be considered strange or sinister. And they can have this strange devotion to even a person or a group or a religion. So when you say that we're a cult, just because we are reclaiming our culture, that's done in error. But that's not to say that some of our people do not have cultish behavior, because they do. And I think that's what's tarnishing the awakening on a large scale, because when you look at some of the practices among the Hebrew Israelites, it is actually clouding the vision or the judgment of those who are looking at us. You have our own people who are rejecting who we are because they are comparing the biblical Israelites of ancient times to those claiming to be the Israelites today.
Yeah, I've done that.
And then you be like, all right, baby, well, I'm going home now. And then, well, you got, look, baby, I gotta go. I gotta take care of business.
Yeah.
I'll be back on the weekend or something.
You gotta be like Superfly. You
They be like Superfly, Chef.
Yeah, Chef.
They didn't live with their woman. They had their own spots. And then they went to go see it. They had their old lady set up in another spot.
Yeah. That's another thing too.
And when they went to their old lady house, they was calling shots at their old lady house.
That's right. That's right. You know why? Because that's a manly spirit. So we're the rulers, man.
Because your old lady house, that's your house too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why when you come in that house, it's dirty. What the fuck? Wash the dishes, you goddamn slut, you.
That's right.
Ecclesiastes 7:26. And I find more bitter than death the woman.
More bitter than death. And death is bitter. But more bitter than death, the woman that does what?
Whose heart is snares and nets.
Yeah, trying to trap you up. And what's that main way of trying to trap you up? Having your baby. Ain't nobody want to get knocked up more than a nigga bitch. White women, they'll fucking take the damn birth control. Or other women. I don't want baby now, so I'm gonna take my birth control. I'm gonna use whatever the fuck they use.
Yeah, man, that nigga woman, the black woman is a piece of shit. Yo, man, them tricks trying to get pregnant so they get that paycheck on your ass, man.
Now I want to share with you a few examples of what our culture is. Our culture can be the way we dress, the way we greet one another, the way we speak to others, the way we eat, things like that. Those are cultural things that are part of our ancient customs that we are actually grabbing hold to again. Many of us are starting to embrace our ancient culture. But on the flip side of that, what other people are starting to look at us and say and make accusations are the cultish behavior that they see some of our people doing. And now some of these people who have this cultish behavior dress in our cultural clothing, speak in our cultural language in some cases. They have some of our cultural practices, but they are mixing some of those sinister, strange beliefs into this.